something is not adding up. You cut calories, you try to stay disciplined, you even push yourself to move more, yet the scale refuses to change. The mirror shows the same stubborn fat. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and slowly, without even noticing, the blame starts turning inward. Maybe it's lack of willpower. Maybe it's not trying hard enough. Maybe something is just wrong. That quiet frustration builds up in the background, and it feels like no matter what you do, your body is working against you instead of with you. But here's the part no one tells you clearly. This struggle is not always about effort. It's not always about discipline. And it's definitely not always your fault. There is a deeper reason why your body resists fat loss, even when you are doing everything that seems right on the surface. And once you see it, the entire picture starts to make sense in a completely different way. Right now, millions of people are stuck in the same cycle. Eating less, trying harder, getting tired, and still not seeing results. The common advice keeps repeating: burn more calories, eat less food, stay consistent. But what if that advice is only part of the story? What if your body is not failing you, but actually responding exactly the way it is designed to respond under certain hidden conditions? Because the truth is, your body is not just a machine that burns calories. It is a complex system that reacts to stress, signals, and internal balance. And when something inside that system is off, weight loss becomes harder, slower, and sometimes almost impossible, no matter how much effort you put in. There is a silent factor that most people completely overlook. It doesn't show up clearly, you don't feel it directly, but it quietly changes how your body stores fat, how it burns energy, and how it reacts to food. This hidden factor can keep your body stuck in a state where fat loss is blocked, even when everything on the outside looks correct. And this is where most diets fail. Not because they are completely wrong, but because they ignore what is happening inside the body at a deeper level. When this internal issue is present, your body shifts into protection mode. Instead of burning fat, it holds onto it. Instead of feeling energized, you feel tired. Instead of progress, you feel stuck. In this video, you are going to understand what is really going on beneath the surface. You will learn why your body resists weight loss, even when you are trying your best. You will discover the hidden triggers that silently increase this internal problem without you even realizing it. These triggers are part of everyday life. Common foods, poor sleep, constant stress, and even lack of simple movement can slowly build up and create a state where your body stops responding the way you expect. And the most surprising part is that many of these triggers are considered normal habits, which is why they go unnoticed for so long. As you keep watching, everything will start to connect. The confusion, the frustration, the feeling of being stuck, it will all begin to make sense. You will see why extreme dieting often backfires. You will understand why pushing harder is not always the answer. And most importantly, you will learn how small shifts in your daily routine can completely change how your body responds to fat loss. Not by forcing it, but by working with it in the right way. Because when the internal environment of your body improves, fat loss becomes easier, more natural, and more sustainable. There are details in this topic that very few people talk about clearly, not because they are complicated, but because they are often ignored. And once you understand these details, you stop fighting your body and start supporting it. That shift alone can change everything. That is why this video is important to watch till the end. Each part builds on the next. Missing one piece can leave the picture incomplete, but when you see the full explanation, you gain clarity that most people never reach, even after years of trying. By the end of this video, you will walk away with a completely new understanding of weight loss resistance. You will stop blaming yourself for things that are not entirely in your control. And you will start seeing a path forward that actually makes sense for your body, not just in theory, but in real life. This is not about quick fixes or extreme solutions. It is about understanding the real cause and making smarter, simpler changes that your body responds to naturally. So stay with me, because what you are about to learn can shift the way you look at weight loss forever. And if you find this kind of simple, clear, and honest health information helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel. This space is all about breaking down complex topics into easy ideas that actually help you take action. Now let's get into the real reason your body might be resisting weight loss. Days start to feel repetitive. You plan your meals carefully, you cut down portions, you skip things you enjoy. Sometimes you even feel hungry, but you still stay consistent because you believe results will come. But then nothing really changes. The scale barely moves, or it moves for a few days and then stops again. That small hope you had at the beginning slowly turns into confusion. You start thinking maybe you are missing something, maybe you are doing it wrong. Then you look around and see other people getting results faster. Someone starts a diet and loses weight in weeks. Someone adds a bit of walking and suddenly looks different. And you sit there wondering why it feels so easy for them but so hard for you. That comparison starts to hurt quietly. You don't say it out loud, but it sits in your mind. Why not me? Why does my body not respond the same way? The effort is there, the intention is there, but the results are not matching. Then comes the feeling of being stuck, not just physically, but mentally. You try one method, then another. You switch diets, you follow different advice. For a short time, it feels like something might work. Then the same pattern repeats. Progress slows down, motivation drops. You feel tired of starting over again and again. Slowly, the idea starts forming that maybe something is wrong with your body. Maybe it is slower. Maybe it is broken in some way. That thought can be heavy because once you start believing that, every failure feels personal. Every lack of progress feels like proof. And the hardest part is not the diet itself, it is the constant cycle of hope and disappointment. You build yourself up, you try again, and then you feel let down again. There are moments when you look in the mirror and feel like nothing is changing no matter what you do. You might even start doing more, pushing harder, cutting more food, increasing activity, thinking that maybe you just need to try harder than everyone else. But the more you push, the more drained you feel. Energy drops, mood changes, and instead of feeling in control, you feel like you are chasing something that keeps slipping away. It begins to feel like your body is not on your side, like it is resisting every step you take forward. And that feeling can be frustrating in a way that is hard to explain because it is not just physical, it is emotional too. It feels like your body is working against you. That is the exact feeling many people struggle to describe, but they feel it every day. You are trying to move forward, but something keeps holding you back. And what makes it worse is that most advice does not acknowledge this feeling. It keeps telling you to do more, try harder, stay consistent, without explaining why your body might not be responding in the first place. So you end up blaming yourself, even when the real issue is something deeper that you cannot see. And in a way, it actually is. Because what is happening inside your body is not always visible, but it is very real. The real problem is not always the number of calories you eat or the number of steps you take. Those things matter, but they are not the full picture. There is something happening beneath the surface, something that changes how your body reacts to everything you do, something that can slow down your progress even when your efforts are correct, something that most people never consider when they think about weight loss. The real problem is not just calories. It is not just about eating less and moving more. It is something happening inside your body that changes the way it handles fat, energy, and even hunger. It is a hidden state that can quietly build up over time without clear signs, and when it reaches a certain level, it begins to interfere with your body's natural ability to lose weight. This is where the idea of silent inflammation comes in. Not the kind that causes obvious pain or injury, but a low level internal stress that keeps your body in a constant state of alert. This silent inflammation does not shout for attention. It does not always cause clear symptoms that you can easily notice, but it affects how your body functions in very important ways. It signals to your body that something is not right. And when your body senses that something is wrong, it shifts its priorities. Instead of focusing on burning fat, it focuses on protection. Instead of releasing stored energy, it tries to hold on to it. This is not a mistake. This is a built-in survival response. When your body is under stress, whether from poor food choices, lack of sleep, constant pressure, or other internal imbalances, it starts to behave differently. It becomes more cautious. It becomes more protective. It does not want to let go of energy because it thinks it might need it later. And in this state, fat loss slows down or even stops, not because your body is lazy, but because it is trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. This changes everything about how your body loses weight. Because now it is not just about creating a calorie deficit, it is about the condition your body is in while you are trying to lose weight. If that internal condition is stressed, inflamed, and imbalanced, then even the right actions can produce weaker results. This is why some people can follow the same diet and see completely different outcomes. One person's body is ready to release fat while another person's body is holding on to it tightly. To understand this more clearly, it helps to break down what actually happens step by step. When inflammation is present in the body, it sends signals that something is wrong. These signals tell your system to stay alert. And when the body stays in this alert mode for too long, it starts to treat everyday situations as if they are threats. This might sound extreme, but from the body's perspective, it is simply trying to manage risk. It does not know whether the stress is coming from poor food, lack of rest, or emotional pressure. It just knows that something is not balanced. In response to this, the body starts to conserve energy. One of the easiest ways to conserve energy is by holding on to fat. Fat is not just extra weight, it is stored energy. And when the body thinks it might need that energy, it becomes very careful about letting it go. This is why fat loss becomes harder in an inflamed state. It is not that the body cannot burn fat, it is that it is choosing not to because it is prioritizing safety over efficiency. At the same time, hormones begin to shift. Hormones control many processes in the body, including hunger, metabolism, and fat storage. When inflammation is present, these hormones can become unbalanced. Some signals that tell your body to burn fat become weaker. Some signals that encourage fat storage become stronger. Hunger cues can change, cravings can increase, energy levels can drop. All of this creates an environment where losing weight becomes more difficult, even if your actions stay the same. Fat burning slows down as a result. The body becomes less efficient at using stored fat as fuel. Instead, it may rely more on quick energy sources or simply reduce overall energy use. This can make you feel more tired, less active, and less motivated, which then affects your ability to stay consistent with healthy habits. It becomes a cycle where the internal state of the body keeps reinforcing the external struggle. Your body is not lazy, it is trying to protect you. This is one of the most important ideas to understand, because once you see it this way, the frustration starts to shift into awareness. The problem is not a lack of effort. It is not a lack of discipline. It is a mismatch between what your body needs internally and what you are trying to force externally. And when those two things are not aligned, progress becomes slow and unpredictable. This protective response can stay active for a long time if the underlying causes are not addressed. That is why some people feel stuck for months or even years. They keep changing diets, increasing effort, and looking for new solutions, but they never address the internal state that is blocking progress. And without changing that internal state, the body continues to resist no matter how much effort is applied from the outside. As this continues, the mental impact grows stronger. Motivation becomes harder to maintain, confidence drops. The process starts to feel exhausting instead of empowering. And the more exhausting it feels, the harder it becomes to stay consistent, which then adds another layer to the struggle. It is not just about weight anymore, it is about energy, mood, and overall well being. Understanding this connection between internal inflammation and weight loss resistance opens a completely different perspective. It explains why traditional methods sometimes fail. It explains why effort alone is not always enough. And it explains why taking care of the body's internal environment is just as important as controlling external habits. Because when the internal environment improves, the body becomes more willing to let go of stored fat. It becomes more balanced, more responsive, more efficient. And that is where things start to change in a real and lasting way. The reason this hidden resistance builds up is not random. It is shaped by small daily triggers that slowly push your body into a state where fat loss becomes difficult. These triggers are not extreme. They are common. They are part of normal routines. That is why they are so easy to miss. The first one starts with the food that looks harmless on the surface: ultra processed foods, packaged snacks, sugary drinks, refined carbs that digest very quickly. These foods are designed to taste good and feel satisfying for a moment, but inside the body, they create a very different reaction. Blood sugar rises fast, then it drops. The body reacts to this swing as a form of stress. It releases signals that increase internal pressure. Over time, this repeated cycle begins to create a low level inflammatory state. You may not feel pain, but your body feels the stress. And when this happens again and again, the body starts to protect itself. Fat storage becomes easier, fat burning becomes harder. Even when calories are controlled, the internal response is not stable. It keeps pushing the body toward holding on instead of letting go. But that's not the only trigger. Sleep plays a much bigger role than most people realize. One night of poor sleep can already change how your body behaves the next day. Hormones that control hunger and stress begin to shift. The body produces more stress signals. Energy feels lower. Cravings become stronger, especially for quick energy foods. And at the same time, the body becomes more likely to store fat. This is not just about feeling tired, it is a deeper biological response. When sleep is not consistent, the body does not get the time it needs to recover and reset. It stays in a slightly stressed state. And when this pattern continues over days and weeks, the impact becomes stronger. Fat loss slows down. The body becomes less efficient. Even if your diet is controlled, poor sleep can quietly block your progress. It creates an environment where the body does not feel safe enough to release stored energy. But that's not the only trigger. Chronic stress is another factor that often goes unnoticed because it becomes part of daily life. Constant thinking, constant pressure, worry about work, money, responsibilities, even when you are not physically active, your mind can keep your body in a state of tension. And the body does not separate mental stress from physical stress. It reacts the same way. Stress hormones rise. The body prepares for survival instead of growth. In this mode, it becomes more focused on conserving energy. Fat storage increases. Fat burning slows down. Digestion can also be affected. Sleep can become lighter. Recovery becomes weaker. And all of this builds a condition where losing weight becomes harder. The body is not focused on burning fat, it is focused on staying prepared for a threat that it thinks is still present. This is why even simple daily stress can have a powerful effect on your body over time. But that's not the only trigger. Movement is another piece that seems simple but has a deep impact. Many people think of exercise as something separate from daily life, a short workout, then long hours of sitting, but the body responds to total movement across the day. Sitting for long periods slows down circulation. It reduces how efficiently the body uses energy. Muscles stay inactive. Metabolism slows down. The body begins to adapt to a lower energy demand, and when this becomes a habit, fat burning becomes less active as well. Even if you exercise for a short time, long hours of inactivity can still create a slow internal system. The body becomes less responsive. It holds on to energy more easily. Small movements across the day matter more than most people think. Walking, standing, stretching, all of these signals tell the body that energy is being used regularly. Without these signals, the body shifts into a slower mode. But that's not the only trigger. Inside your body, there is another system that quietly affects everything: your gut. Digestion is not just about breaking down food, it is connected to inflammation, hormones, and overall balance. When the gut is not healthy, when digestion is weak or unbalanced, it can lead to internal irritation. This irritation can increase inflammation without clear signs. You may notice bloating, discomfort, or irregular digestion, but even without strong symptoms, the effect can still be there. The body begins to react to this imbalance. Nutrients may not be absorbed properly. Signals between the gut and brain can become disrupted. This affects hunger, energy, and fat storage. Over time, this hidden imbalance can make it harder for the body to respond to weight loss efforts. It creates another layer of resistance that is not visible from the outside. All of these triggers build up slowly. They do not appear all at once, they grow over time, layer by layer. And because they are part of normal routines, they are often ignored. People focus only on calories and workouts, while these deeper triggers continue to shape the body's response. This is where many diets begin to fail, not because the idea of reducing calories is wrong, but because it is incomplete. When you cut calories too hard without addressing the internal state of your body, you add more stress. The body already feels pressure, and now it feels even more. It responds by holding on tighter. Energy drops further, hormones shift more, fat loss slows down even more. This is why extreme dieting often leads to short term results followed by long term frustration. At first, the body may respond quickly because of the sudden change, but as stress builds, the body adapts. It reduces energy use, it increases hunger signals, it protects fat stores, and eventually progress slows or stops. Then, when normal eating returns, the body is still in that protective mode. It stores energy even faster, leading to weight regain. This cycle repeats for many people, creating the feeling that nothing works in the long run. Ignoring internal health is one of the biggest reasons this cycle continues. Focusing only on external control, like calories and workouts, without improving sleep, stress, digestion, and daily movement, leaves the root problem untouched. The body continues to operate in a stressed and inflamed state. And in that state, fat loss will always be harder than it needs to be. Short term focus adds to the problem. Quick results become the goal instead of long term balance. And when the focus is only on speed, the methods become more extreme, which increases stress even more. You can't out diet inflammation. This is a simple idea, but it changes everything because it shifts the focus from forcing results to creating the right conditions. When the internal environment is stressed, pushing harder does not solve the problem. It often makes it worse. But when the internal environment improves, the body starts to respond in a different way. It becomes more balanced, more stable, more willing to release stored energy. This is where a simple shift begins to matter more than extreme effort. Instead of trying to do everything at once, the focus moves to small changes that reduce internal stress. Food becomes less about restriction and more about quality. Whole, natural foods that support the body instead of stressing it. Foods that digest more slowly, foods that provide steady energy instead of sharp spikes and crashes. This creates a more stable internal state. Blood sugar becomes more balanced. Stress signals reduce. The body feels less pressure. Sleep becomes a priority, not an afterthought. Consistent sleep allows the body to recover. Hormones begin to reset. Energy improves, cravings become easier to manage, the body starts to feel safe again. And when the body feels safe, it becomes more open to releasing fat instead of storing it. Even small improvements in sleep can create noticeable changes over time. Stress does not disappear completely, but small habits can reduce its impact. Simple moments of pause, slowing down breathing, taking short breaks, spending time away from constant pressure. These small actions signal to the body that it is not under constant threat. Over time, this lowers the internal stress response. The body shifts out of survival mode and into a more balanced state. Movement becomes part of daily life instead of a single event. Not extreme workouts, but regular activity across the day. Walking more, standing more, keeping the body active in simple ways. These movements send a steady signal that energy is being used. The body responds by improving metabolism. It becomes more efficient. Fat burning becomes more active again. When you fix the internal environment, fat loss becomes easier. Not because of a single trick, but because the body is finally in a state where it can respond properly. Effort starts to match results. Progress feels more natural. The struggle begins to reduce, and the focus shifts from forcing change to supporting it. At the end of all this, one thing becomes clear. It's not just weight gain, it's your body sending a signal that something inside needs attention, a signal that your body is not broken, not weak, and not working against you for no reason. It is responding the only way it knows how, based on what it is experiencing every single day. And when you finally start to understand that signal, everything begins to shift. The frustration starts to fade. The confusion starts to clear. You stop forcing your body into extreme methods that only create more stress. And instead, you begin to support it in a way that feels natural, steady, and sustainable. Because the real change does not come from pushing harder. It comes from working smarter with your body, not against it. When you reduce the hidden stress, when you improve the internal balance, when you give your body what it actually needs, that is when it starts responding differently. That is when progress begins to feel real again. Not temporary, not forced, but consistent and lasting. And this is something most people never fully realize, which is why they stay stuck in the same cycle for years. So if this helped you see weight loss in a completely new way, don't just move on and forget it. Take this understanding with you. Start applying small changes. Give your body the chance to respond the way it is designed to. And if you know someone who is struggling, someone who feels stuck and keeps blaming themselves, share this with them. It might be the clarity they have been missing for a long time. Make sure to like the video if you found value in it. Subscribe to the channel for more simple and honest health truths that actually make sense. And stay connected, because the more you understand your body, the easier everything becomes.